Almighty God grant to this council wisdom, understanding and sincerity of purpose for the good governance of this Shire. Amen.
Amen.
Item 4, there's no apologies. Item 5, confirmation of minutes. The recommendation is that the minutes of council meeting held on 8 October 2025 and the unscheduled council meeting held on 22 October 2025 be confirmed as correct. Records of business transacted. If I could have a seconder. Councillor Henry, we've got to vote. Those in favour? Oh, sorry. Oh, I can't move. No, I'll ask for a mover. Councillor Henry, a seconder. Councillor Manning, a vote. All those in favour? Carried. Item 6, there's no declaration of interest. Item 7, there's no leave of absence. Item 8, there's no questions on notice. Item 9, there's no public deputations. Item 10, there's no petitions. Item 11, informal meetings of councillors. Informal meeting of councillors record was kept for Audit and Risk Committee meeting 23rd September 2025, briefing session 1st of October 2025, briefing session 8 October 2025, which will be an amendment to that to note that Councillor Rainsford attended virtually, and a briefing session held on the 22nd of October 2025. Item 12, management reports. 12.1, award of contract 2025007, Hamilton Library Community Hub and Civic Square detailed design. Director Scanlon.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councillors, this report before you seeks to award the contract for the design development for the Hamilton Library, including the community hub. The scope of this project also includes the town square and also undertaking a parking precinct plan. Councillors, this is a significant milestone in the next step of the development of our major projects within the Hamilton CBD, and certainly brings to the fore the vision of improving and providing a new library that is certainly contemporary in its provisions, and certainly providing the opportunity to include a digital hub, which certainly there's been a lot of momentum and support from the community to enable some of that education and career path moving forward. Councillors, the recommendation is before you that Council award the contract to Nepolis to the value of $1.9 million and approve an additional $30,000 GST for contingency. The report's before you for consideration.
Could I have a mover? Councillor Henry.
I'd like to move that Council award the contract 2025007 to Nepolis Proprietary Limited to undertake design development of the Hamilton Library Community Hub and Civic Square for the tendered lump sum price of $911,640 excluding GST. And 2, approve an additional amount of $30,000 excluding GST for contingency. And 3, authorise the Chief Executive Officer to execute contract 2025007 and any other documents required by or to give effect to the terms of the contract on behalf of Council.
Have a seconder. Councillor Manning. Questions of Director Scanlon? Councillor Barber.
Thanks, Mayor. Director Scanlon, it's only just a quick one. Once this is awarded, when would we expect to see the first lot of designs, roughly?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Councillor Barber, the first phase of the project is initiation, which is really undertaking what's referred to as a return brief. Effectively, the concept design is reviewed. There's community engagement, stakeholder engagement undertaken to inform that design. That really ends phase 1 to come back to Council. That effectively would be gearing up for the final concept design to then move into detailed design. In accordance with the program that's been submitted, that would be in February 2026.
Thank you.
Councillor Campbell.
Director Scanlon, could I please, just if you could, just to let the community know a bit about the funding model from design, contributions from government and council?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Councillors, the funding for this design development phase is through the Regional Partnerships and Precincts funding, which is federal funding, and that sees us through the design development together with business case development and project management to support this project.
Councillor Rainsford.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'm quite excited about the potential of this this group of this business that includes a local connection being involved in the design here. And if I thought my question is, it's a very flexible design. Could you include designing the gallery if we miss out on getting enough money to do both projects? It's a big ask, but I would love to put it up as an amendment, but it won't get supported. So my question is, how much flexibility is there if we find after next year we put in applications in May, we don't get enough funding? Are we going to pivot and make sure that we try and achieve all the goals that we're trying to do in the civic centre? Thank you.
Through you, Mr Mayor. Councillor, I think the point of pivoting is always something that's front of mind regardless of what the circumstances are. Might just be clear in terms of the RPPP funding, which is the federal funding that we have at the moment, is for design development of the gallery, the hub and the streetscape. And so that $5 million is already in under a funding agreement. So that is locked in. The missing piece of funding at the moment that we are continuing to advocate for and propose to put an application in is for the RPPP for construction funds.
Councillor Manning.
Can I ask a clarifying question, Councillor Rainsford? Or just, yeah.
I'm
Just
happy to.
Sorry, just to understand your question, do you mean, so the design of the gallery, the detailed design of the gallery has been awarded and that will be done. Do you mean will construct both? You said design or just, do you mean, your question is, will this firm construct both buildings? Is that right?
No, that's
sorry, I
design.
didn't understand.
No, my question is that we've got a flexibility for levels. We've got a flexibility for the lots 85 and 6 with the food outlets.
Yeah.
We've got flexibility with partnerships. So it's quite a challenging brief for the architects, design contract team, and we don't know how much money we're going to get. So I just thought, is there going to be any flexibility if we find, okay guys, this is much, community, this is how much you're going to be able to gather together, where do we go from there? It's not about building, it's about designing and getting approval, support. We might only get enough to do one of these projects, so what do we do then?
Director Scanlon.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Councillors, there's no interrelationship with this award and the gallery. They are standalone elements. And so this design is just talking to the new library and the community hub.
Councillor Calvano.
Just for the viewers, officer, is when do we have to exhaust this funding from the RCCC?
Sorry, I missed that question.
When does the money need to expire?
End of 26.
And
March 27.
March 27.
Through you, Mr Mayor, March 2027.
Thank you very much, officer.
Councillor Manning.
Yeah. So the design of this building in the tender is for a 2-storey building with an optional 1-storey building, and it's my understanding that if we're successful with the stream 2 of the RPPP next year, we'll be able to build the 2-storey. If we're unsuccessful, we'll be able to build the 1-storey. So there's a certain amount of money that was, sorry, I don't have here we go. The tender estimates that $87,000 within this contract is for the design of the 1-storey building. But if we get the funding and we don't need to design that $87,000 isn't paid. Is that correct?
Through you, Mr Mayor. Councillor, in the first phase, it's really determined through council whether we are proceeding with the 2-storey or needing to revert to the 1-storey. Obviously, a lot of work that's done in phase 1 then informs either option.
Okay.
And so really a lot of that portion would have already been taken into the investigation and site assessment and engagement, but there would certainly be some reduction if it was the single level. Sorry.
I'll just hold for a minute. We just haven't got the microphone set up, so Carly's just getting those now.
Is it these ones, and do we just press them so the green light?
If you got green, it's good.
Yeah.
On these or on these? So do I press it? There we go. Oh, I've got Rick. Is that what? Oh, that's right.
They're all in here.
Sorry?
They're all of them were in here for the last one. I took it out.
Testing, 1, 2, 3.
Can you hear me?
Councillor Manning?
Yeah, just a follow-up question on that. When do we have a rough month of when we can expect to find out, or when we're going to submit the application for the Stream 2R Triple P, and when we can expect to find out if we are successful?
Through you, Mr Mayor, we are maintaining contact with the Office of Department of Infrastructure. At the moment, the program is actually not receiving applications, and we understand that that's a limited term thing, but we don't have exact clarity. It is typically an open program, so submissions can go in at any time, and at this stage there's no indication of when that announcement would be.
Councillor Campbell?
Yeah. Director Scanlon, I just would like clarification, because just to make it clear here, we've got our Triple P, we will get the design, we've got the money to do all the designs, that's cool. Then we obviously need to go and ask for, hopefully, constructions for the library and the hub, for the gallery. I understand all that part, but clarification here, there could be a possibility where they go, the library and the hub, no dramas, the gallery, no. Obviously we don't want that to happen, but is that an actual, that could happen? Even though they're not interlinked, even though they are interlinked because we're getting the RPP funding model? It just seems...
I'll divert to the CEO.
Because even though they're not linked, they're still getting the, under the same RPP, is that?
Through Mr Mayor, thank you for your question. I'm just a bit closer to what we're planning with the grant application, so I'll answer that. The grant application at this stage, and we do wish to take advice from the department, will be for $30 million, of which 17 will go towards the library community hub, 10 million will go towards the gallery, and the balance towards the streetscape project. But that's just purely indicative, and of course before we applied we would bring a paper to council to endorse what it was that we were planning to do. Sorry, so to complete my answer, they are related in that they will be part of the one application.
Yeah.
Any further questions? Councillor Henry, you wish to speak to the motion?
Yes, I would, thank you. Until it's the end of the year, my book's a bit full. The award of this contract, make no mistake, is a incredible step forward in what will be an intergenerational and game-changing project for our area. It will provide technical access for young people and, well, anyone in our community to digital tools, internet access, high-speed internet access, and it'll create educational pathways and reskilling pathways. In what is a changing economic climate, even in agriculture, we have upskilling opportunities. We have what we probably will see in the near future as being renewable energy zones in our area that we want to be able to take advantage of and have our people actually working and and being able to access jobs in that industry. We want to keep our young people here. We want to have ways that people can be working and staying in farms and communities but still attaining their educational goals. We want to have community spaces where people are welcome to come and have meetings and have cross-pollinations. This is an upgrade of such a well-used and much beloved library. It's one of the most well-used libraries per head of population in the state. To have an upgrade really speaks to the value of libraries in our community. The government hub will lead to interconnection, cross-pollination of ideas, efficiencies of space, and I think new strengthenings of partnerships between agencies that actually have to work together quite often. The Civic Square is something that I think will be a central pivot for our community, a point where we can relax and gather and celebrate things. I find this a really positive step, and particularly because we're awarding this to an architectural firm that has actively sought to engage our own local architects. And so we're going to have feet on the ground and people that understand our way of living working in this project, which is incredible. I think all indications are good. I want to say, an amazingly huge thank you to the federal government for funding this. This is a no risk for us in terms of design, because we're not paying for this design, and what that indicates to me is that there is every hope that we will receive funding to build what we have designed. And I just think that's an incredible place to be as a Shire, and we deserve to think big, and I think this is another step forward.
Any discussion for? Councillor Manning.
This report asks us to make a decision on awarding the tender for the hub concept plans, so I'll make comments specifically to that. The recommended tenderer is suitably qualified, experienced and creative, and has a track record of impressive projects including libraries, government and community hubs and civic spaces. They've worked with local government before. They're partnering with local architects, and the local architects have also got impressive works, including the Tay Aquaculture Centre at Budge Bim. So that's very exciting. Having local architects involved increases the chances of having local contractors being involved, and this increases the chances of the spend staying in the local economy, which is really important. And I note that the recommended tenderers specifically reference their knowledge of local suppliers and contractors, both established and emerging. The referees gave positive reviews. They've shown a strong understanding of the project brief. Councillors have seen 4 preliminary concept designs provided by the recommended tender, and I thought these looked really promising, and I look forward to seeing the reviewed concepts at the end of stage 1 in the return brief. Yes, the cost is high, 1.9 million to design. However, the quote is within council's budget, and it includes the expertise of architects from 2 different firms, geotechnical, structural, civic and facade engineers, acoustic and traffic specialists, landscape architects who are quite impressive as well in their previous work, fire safety design specialists, surveyors, town planners and more. So there's a lot of people involved in designing these huge buildings, and that comes into it when you look at the price tag. So I'll finish to say that the hub, together with the new gallery and the CBD streetscape, is one of the most significant, if not the most significant investment in Hamilton in the past 30 years. We're applying for funding under a precinct and partnership grant. We're developing a precinct. That's generational planning, and it's really important and it's really exciting. So I endorse the recommended tender in the recommendation.
Any discussion against? Further for? Councillor Rainsford.
Yeah, I'm going to do my duty by raising some issues that we could have considered, and I would just like to say my comments do not have any detraction to the quality of the tenderer, the group, and the potential that there is. I just feel it's about the why, and what I just want to say is that when I was at the local government conference in Canberra, I liked the Governor-General's comment that there needed to be more kindness and respect and good disagreement. So, and I think that's something that's really relevant to having these discussions. So the things that I'm interested in economic development and maximising our economic development, and I've got to be quick, but the things that we could do if we weren't redeveloping what I call our current civic hub on Lonsdale Street. And I know it'll get support, but here's what we could do. This is the questions. Instead of building a building for One and Water, could we put $10 million into sewerage schemes, seed funding in the Branks homes, in the Penshursts, the Glen Thompson and Cavendish? The limiting factor to building in these small towns is they're not articulated, but you can have combined septic systems. There's only 4 blocks in Glen Thompson you can build a house that you could put a septic under the current guidelines. So could we have seed funding, instead of contributing to a building for a new building for the service provider, One and Water, we could say we're going to start developing our townships and we're going to have a bucket of money that we could get matched by state and federal to develop these towns. We could attract visitors by actually investing in caravan parks and dump sites. We could spend a little bit of money getting ready for the return of passenger rail and advocating for it and making designs and linkages, because we are going to have a better rail service to Portland through our town, through 4 of our towns. We could support the activity spaces. Now, what concerns me, we got involved with getting a AstroTurf for the hockey up at Padrina Park. Our kids had all finished by the time we got the approval and got the plan. We need this help and economic development now. The projects are so long term. They look great, they sound great, they are exciting, but are they going to deliver enough economic development quickly? So I just feel that we do need it now, and it is brave to think differently and actually analyse what our economic development potential is. We've got rail
That's
trail.
time, Councillor Ransford.
Thanks very much, and I'm
not too sure the relevance to the motion.
Excuse me?
I'm not sure either.
I don't know either.
Were you speaking for or against?
Yes.
Depends.
Oh, okay.
Any further discussion for? Councillor Henry to close.
I find it interesting that we're having a conversation about immediate economic gains when this new council, and I would argue even the last council in 5 years, has made more progress towards progression of major projects than the councillor that is calling for immediate economic development and has been on council 20 plus years. I find that an extraordinary hypocrisy. This is a project that our young people deserve, our local people deserve, and is not exclusive to Hamilton. Nearly every young person I know comes to Hamilton to go to school. There are a few that go to Balmoral, but there are still many of our young people that will access this service. We are not going to attract tourists and young people to stay in towns with sewerage. This is the project that is the game changer that is right now. Thank you.
Got to vote. Those in favour? Those against?
Can I call a division?
Division called. Call for those in favour again. Councillor Barber, Councillor Henry, Councillor Campbell, Councillor Calvano, Councillor Manning and the Mayor, and against, Councillor Ransford. Item 12.2, VicGrid submission renewable energy zone and community benefits. Director Neeson.
Thank you, and through you, Mr Mayor, I'd like to present this report on Council's submission to VicGrid's draft 2025 Victorian Transmission Plan, particularly regarding the Access and Connections consultation paper, draft grid impact and assessment guidelines, and draft community engagement and social value guidelines. So Council acknowledges the importance of transitioning to renewable energy and remains open-minded about future developments. However, Council is concerned around the adequacy of community benefits and the extent of the Southwest Renewable Energy Zone, particularly regarding the content and intent of the documents mentioned above that we've been asked to provide comment on. So as part of the submission that was being presented here tonight, there's a few just different topics I want to run through that have been raised. So some of these are around cultural and environmental sensitivity, the extent of actually where the Southwest Renewable Energy Zone actually is, agriculture and other land use impacts, infrastructure and environmental integrity, community benefits and governance of the funds that will be allocated, landowner compensation mechanisms, renewable energy scheme authorities and grid impact authorities, and a bit around public confidence, and the feedback timeframes and the opportunity for more meaningful engagement. So Council, a recommendation has been brought before you for consideration, as well as further details on those topics presented in the paper tonight.
We have a mover. Councillor Barber.
Mr Mayor, I move that the Council submit a revised written submission to VicGrid outlining Council's concerns with the proposed draft 2025 Victorian Transmission Plan and Victorian Access Regime Guidelines. Point 2, advocate for locally informed and culturally sensitive processes and engagement for the Victorian Access Regime and ongoing preparation and implementation of the Victorian Transmission Plan.
Seconder. Councillor Henry. Any questions of Director Neeson? Councillor Barber, you wish to speak to the motion?
Oh, sorry, I did have a
Oh,
question.
sorry.
Yeah,
Councillor Henry.
Just a bit slow. Could you just detail what you believe this report will do and when we will hear back on the, I guess, accumulative effect of multiple councils submitting their advocacy documents, and what is the next step, I guess?
Thank you, through Mr Mayor. I can't give you an exact time frame. I'd imagine early next year, because there is a lot of work being done by VicGrid across the state around the new renewable energy zones that have been put in. So they've obviously been doing consultation on all of those with councils, individuals, community groups, etc. across the state. In terms of next steps, though, that these will actually look to be formalised, and they'll actually become, we'll go away from draft transmission zones to actually become formulated. There'll be things that will be embedded into planning schemes, etc. And probably of interest to us is around the community benefits and what that actually looks like. And that's something that you'll see in the paper that Council's really keen to play a strong involvement with, so that we actually see that any benefits derived, especially from the renewable energy zone in our shire, is returned to our communities and actually spent where they see fit, rather than being absorbed into the state government and not being spent in the area where the zone's been proposed.
Councillor Henry.
Given that between our first briefing in regard to the renewable energy zones and the second briefing, we had a change of the renewable energy zone from being near Penshurst and potentially, I suppose, what is a significant cultural and landscape area to another significant cultural landscape area to up near Rocklands. Could we and should we expect that through this advocacy and other consultation processes, the new renewable energy zone will shift again?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I think it's unlikely that there'll be any major changes to what's been proposed through the, I'll call, second lot of consultation, which has seen a larger area appear in the northwestern part of our shire. I think what's really important, though, is what's in here around making sure that areas within that renewable energy zone are actually taken in consideration, whether that's on environmental or cultural or various other things raised. I think that's why it's important that this paper is presented to you as council, so that we can actually sit there and advocate for the zone. Yes, that's happening, but there's still, I suppose, a zone is a zone. There still will be developments that happen within a zone. So having, I suppose, the things that we've listed here considered with any future developments, I think is really important.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Councillor Barber, you wish to speak to the motion?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Yeah, I'd just like to say I fully support pushing this resubmission into the VicGrid crew to do with the REZ planning, because I think, you know, it's one of those moments where you don't want to sit on your hands and not be heard. It impacts beautiful red gum country, it impacts our wonderful farmers, and I think it's important that, you know, we have to protect our landowners. We're a rich agricultural area, and they have to understand and get it through their heads that they're walking onto land owned by a generational farm family. It's not state government owned, so be respectful, and I think it's important we push that sort of ideal back to them, so, you know, to get a voice out there, because I think it's really important and there's a bit of uncertainty around it. And also, just to back up what Director Neeson said, I think it's highly important that we make sure that the money that is from those REZs come back to the community it actually affects and doesn't get swallowed up into the coffers in Spring Street that we'll never see it again. It actually needs to come back and benefit the communities that it's actually potentially impacting. Thank you.
Discussion 4. Councillor Campbell.
Yeah, I've got a caveat in this, because at the end of the day, I understand we still need to put this forward and put our submissions forward to the government, but council acknowledges the importance of transitioning to renewable energy. Well, I can say honestly, I don't see the importance of it at all. I mean, the last 3 years, we have seen our power prices in the state rise 27%. I don't see the benefit coming back to the community with this VicGrid at all. The reality is, VicGrid will deal with private landowners. The private landowners will get the money for it. So at the end of the day, VicGrid will make deals with private landowners, and the benefits won't come back to the community, and this will fall on deaf ears, because the Victorian state government and VicGrid will do what they need to do, and they'll put this document out, which they've done, to make us feel all happy about it, but at the end of the day, they will do what they want to do.
Any discussion against? Further 4. Councillor Manning.
Yeah, just quickly, I hold out hope that the aim of VicGrid is to plan and coordinate renewable energy projects and transmission infrastructure to deliver certainty and fairness to communities. That's the aim. I think that's what we all want. I think everyone wants certainty and fairness for our communities, and I agree with all the points raised in here in the report, and I support this report, and we need to advocate for certainty and fairness. That money needs to come back into communities, and yeah, all the points that we've raised are really important, and I'd add one is that the effect on roads to these projects, the installation of these projects chews up the roads, so I'd like to see that worked in a bit more, but I do hope that we are listened to, and that many councils together are listened to, and that's our job, and that's what we can do, so I hope.
Councillor Henry.
Thank you. I was really pleased to see that we're advocating for a wide range of benefits that I think are long overdue. I too hold hope, and I actually see the benefit in the state actually having oversight, you know, rather than just companies making deals as they see fit. This must benefit the community. There has to be transparency around the methodology being used to define renewable energy zones, and there must be transparency that has to address real costs. Has to be future focused. It has to be in consultation with community and with council. It can't just be, let's buy some footy shirts and do whatever we want. I think the fact that companies have to pay to be in the renewable energy zone is heartening. However, I am concerned, like yourself, Councillor Campbell, that potentially that money might be collected and not redistributed back out. But my understanding of my reading of the legislation, preliminary legislation around funding, is that it has to come back. So I hope that to be true. It needs to contribute to major projects, and it needs to contribute to neighbours, not just landholders. And it needs to include transmission lines and proper planning for transmission lines, as well as any power infrastructure. What I would really like to see happen, and I think this would be probably more beneficial for investing in our small towns, is free power. If we could get some free power for places that have intermittent and unusual power sources like Balmoral and Harrow, that might be a real game changer, I think, in terms of finding industry knocking at their doorstep.
Any further discussion? Councillor Barber, anything to close?
No, thank you.
Go to a vote. Those in favour? Carried. Item 12.3, Road Safety Strategy. Director Scanlon.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Councillors, this report before you is the output of a number of actions undertaken through our engineering team, specifically in partnership with the Department of Transport and Planning and the Traffic Accident Commission, TAC. And it's really around working through auditing and assessment of our existing Hamilton CBD current conditions under what's called the SAFE method approach, which fundamentally looks at improving our road safety for all users. Specifically, this strategy proposes the following key actions: to upgrade school and pedestrian crossings, particularly with raised crossings that are commonly referred to as wombat crossings, install raised intersections and reduce speeds within CBD corridors to 30 kilometres. I'll talk to that one in a minute. Provide buffers and sightline protections at intersections, particularly where there's a connection with parking zones. Advocate for safer infrastructure for pedestrians and cyclists on arterial roads and connections. Run education campaigns for all users, and monitor and represent micro-mobility safety risks. In terms of the speed reduction, certainly specifically for Hamilton, we need to do a lot more monitoring and testing of that, so there's no immediate action to reduce speed. This strategy is the implementation of this strategy is reliant on funding, and Council would certainly seek to source co-contributing or full funding from state government to support these actions. The report's before you for consideration.
Mover. Councillor Manning.
I move that Council 1 adopt the Hamilton CBD Road Safety Strategy 2025 to 2035, and 2, note that the funding will be sourced through the TAC and DTP to implement priority treatments.
Seconder. Councillor Barber. Any questions of Director Scanlon? Councillor Henry.
I note that we've allocated a time frame of 10 years to achieve what's required for this, for the recommendations. Do we have it as a prioritised list?
Through you, Mr Mayor. Yes, Councillor Henry, it is prioritised, and that was really identified through the audits in terms of what's the imperative, and there was a ranking system as a part of that action development plan.
Was that in the attachment?
The strategies in the attachment.
I didn't see it by those colours.
Further questions? Councillor Manning.
I'm not sure if you know, but in the streetscape community consultation, I believe there was something around lowering the speed limit in the CBD, and we did receive some community feedback on that. Do we remember what that, I think from my memory it was people, community did not want to lower it. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Through you, Mr Mayor, correct, Councillor Manning. There was a small survey that was undertaken specifically asking about the level of interest or support to reduce the speed within the CBD. Yeah. That wasn't overly supported. And dare I say, as I said, through the audit, at the moment it doesn't indicate any true need. So typically in terms of considering that speed reduction, you would look at crash and near misses, incidents, etc. Certainly has been very minimal, not saying they haven't occurred, but been very minimal, and less of major incidents.
Further questions? Councillor Manning, you wish to speak to the motion?
Yes, I'll just keep it short. Anything that makes our CBD safer and our roads safer is a good thing. So I thank the officers for their time and effort in this analysis and to get this plan together, and good luck getting the funding and getting as many things as we can done.
Discussion for? Against? Councillor Manning, anything to close? Go to a vote. Those in favour? Carried. Item 12.4, Glenn Thompson Public Toilets Concept Designs. Director Scanlon.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Councillors, this report does close out a notice of motion that was put forward by Councillor Manning in April 2025, but it actually builds on previous work. In the previous financial year, there was an allocation to undertake design and development for a new public toilet within Lions Park in Glen Thompson. That was awarded in terms of a contract to proceed, to which the notice of motion then came forward. A key component of this project includes the consideration, including a structural assessment of the outdoor swimming pool at Glen Thompson Memorial Building, and looking at that facility to see if there's an opportunity to redevelop it for the purposes of public amenities, which, as indicated in this report, has been determined that that is an option. The report before you seeks approval to continue with community consultation, releasing the two options, seeking the community to provide input in terms of their preference for the option and any feedback to the details provided. The report's before you.
Have a mover. Councillor, yes?
Yeah,
Councillor Rainsford.
Yeah, sorry.
There you go.
I have to move and ask the question.
I'll just ask you to read the recommendation.
One, received this report as a response to a notice of motion from Councillor Jane Manning at the December 2024 council meeting to proceed with community engagement on the two options being the renovation and redevelopment of the War Memorial Building and the alternative option to establish a new modular facility in Lions Park for the purposes of establishing new contemporary public amenities in Glen Thompson.
Seconder, Councillor Manning. Questions of Director Scanlon, Councillor
Yeah, thank you.
Rainsford.
Look, I've been reviewing some of our council meetings lately, and during our budget meeting, during the 11th, it was commented a couple of times that our budget would be reviewed, and it was a sort of a living document. So we might have a limitation for funding this time. And the question is, could we not be limited? Could we actually have a budget, mini budget little review to actually provide funds if this is what the community wanted? Do you understand what I'm getting to?
I think I
Thank you very
understand it.
much.
Through you, Mr Mayor. Council, to enable that would have to come back through council for approval. So Southern Grampians has its annual budget process, nothing in between, but that would need to go through council.
Further questions? Councillor Henry.
I know that the second option of revamping the space that is considered the change rooms and toilets of the Glen Thompson pool, should the pool not remain open or in the winter months, can those toilets be accessed well by the public without any risk that someone might go in the pool? And two, if the pool wasn't, if the community wasn't able to keep the pool open, does that mean that those toilets' design will still be valid?
Through you, Mr Mayor. Councillor Henry, in your first option where the pool is opened, this proposal remains the current scenario whereby when the pool's open, that facility is open, when the pool's closed, that wouldn't be open otherwise. Second part of your question, sorry.
Is if the pool doesn't remain open and we invest in the toilets, is that still an option that will see Glen Thompson having toilets?
Sure. So if the pool isn't opened, part of the thinking with this facility, and keeping in mind it is one or the other, and so if the position is that we go down the path of the the memorial building renovation, that could then be the facility that services that broader community and that broader Lions Park.
Councillor Manning.
Yeah, just to clarify, so when the pool isn't open, there'll be a fence that people from the public can still use the toilets but not access the pool.
Yes,
That's
correct, sorry. Yes, so you would be able to access the facility but not into the pool enclosure.
Further questions? Councillor Barber.
Thank you through you, Mr Mayor. And this may be either for you, Director Scanlon, or Director Barber. It's more of a budgeting question, sort of carrying on for Councillor Rainsford. So, just a bit of clarification. So, the original 24-25 budget remaining was 231,366. In the table for the proposed options 2, the budget of $250,000, so the bit referred to a moment ago. But it will need additional funds of $140,000, which will make the option 2 more expensive than the option 1 in the Lions Park. Will that have impact on the toilets being refurbished or built, because we're going to have to find more money compared to what was already allocated in the budget?
Through you, Mr Mayor. Correct, Councillor Barber. There would be a funding shortfall in terms of option 2. In terms of addressing that, that would need to go through a budget process, which would be for next financial year. Yes, I'll leave it at that.
Thank you.
Councillor Rainsford, you wish to speak to the motion?
Oh, just summary, I'm pleased it's going out for community.
Questions?
Oh, sorry, another question?
Oh, speaking for it.
Oh,
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, we'll get to the...
After.
I'll be brief. No, there's a couple of options going out for public comment. They might have some variations that they ask for. So we'll just see what happens and look forward to the response. Thank you.
Discussion 4. Councillor Calvano.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd like to speak for the motion, Mr Mayor. The council move forward with community engagement on this issue. It's community we're worried about. Community engagement is an important step in our decision making. It ensures that the ideas of the community are heard in local government whilst moving forward. Where councils make final decisions that affects our communities. This outcome will finally make us better understand the locals of our township of Glen Thompson and other townships with community feedback. Then it's only a matter of bringing the budget if we can afford to keep it open or closed. Mr Mayor, that's about it. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Any discussion against? Further for? Councillor Manning.
First of all, thank you to the officers for responding to the notice of motion. I'll note that in April, when it was put forward, we still weren't sure if the pool was going to be open or not. And in the scenario where the pool wasn't open, it was going to be a retainment of a beautiful historical building in the township. Scenario 2 is the pool is going to be open, which we find ourselves in, and it can still be a beautiful historical building with multiple uses. Alright, now that the pool is going to be open and taken over by the community, the pool facilities will be used more, and they are in need of renovation. I think it makes sense to have an option to renovate one building for multiple uses, public toilet and pool facility. It is a significantly higher cost, $136,000 that we're asking to go with option 2 compared to the prefab unit in the Lions Park. That was expected, we knew that all along. But as I've said, I note that the pool facilities are a significant landmark in Glen Thompson, built with bricks from the now closed brickworks. You stand in the middle of the main intersection of Glen Thompson and you've got the War Memorial Pool Facility. Opposite on Memorial Drive, you've got building of bricks of the same colour, which used to be the bank and now private residence. You go up a little bit further and you've got the ambulance building of the same bricks. Every time I go through that intersection, that's what draws my eye. Through our work with the CBD streetscape and the Coleraine and the Cavendish structure plans, council are reinvigorating town centres with the themes of heritage and character. And when I stand in the intersection of Glen Thompson and I think of heritage and character, I see those 3 red brick buildings built with bricks from the brickworks. And I think that's the heritage and character, or significantly contributes to the heritage and character of Glen Thompson. So I would love to see that building renovated It's not the decision for tonight though. Now it's all about going back to community with both options, and then we as a council will decide if we're willing to spend that extra money on the town of Glen Thompson. So I look forward to seeing what the community consultation brings.
Did you, no. Councillor Henry?
Oh, I just wanted to congratulate Councillor Manning on getting this to the point, getting it to the table, getting the community to the point where we have these two options that are going to be presented to them. So hats off to you.
Any further for? Councillor Rainsford, anything to close?
I better not speak right now, thank you. No, that's all. Thank you.
Are you sure?
Sure.
Go to a vote. Those in favour? Carried. Item 12.5, Hamilton Spillway Investigation Update. Director Scanlon.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Councillors, this report before you provides a summary of the Lake Hamilton Spillway, its history, its limitations of the existing structure, together with the proposed actions to mitigate potential failure of the structure. Certainly, Council is aware through a range of assessments and reports that have been undertaken over several years that we do need to do further monitoring and investigation. Council's works team are very proactive in managing the site, and particularly the water levels in light of weather forecasts where we are seeing increased rainfall, and that's monitored on a very proactive basis. This report recommends or seeks to secure $75,000 to address the immediate actions required, which include monitoring and assessment, together with undertaking community notification of the actions that we are taking. The report's before you.
Have a mover. Councillor Barber.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I move that the council approve the allocation of new capital funds to address the following immediate actions estimated to cost $75,000 excluding GST to be funded through cash reserves. A, establish a comprehensive monitoring system by a dams engineer. B, grout identified cracked joints, rectify gap, clear reeds. C, CCTV inspection, survey underground services near spillway. D, feature survey spillway area and report any changes since 2019. Thank you.
Seconder. Councillor Campbell. Any questions of Director Scanlon? Councillor Campbell.
Yes, Director Scanlon. 1977, there's been 5 reports on this. Question, all this comprehensive monitoring and all that sort of stuff, should it have already been there?
Through you, Mr Mayor. Councillor Campbell, I think if we strip back all those reports, we truly need to understand what is the integrity of that spillway, and this is exactly what this is intending to do in terms of the monitoring and the analysis to determine what needs to be done. Some works have been undertaken, and certainly it's really in the immediate area, removal of reeds, some improvements to the actual spillway stop, the way we actually manage the water levels at those times where we know water levels are going to increase, etc. I can't comment for the history in terms of what or what hasn't been done, but where we sit at the moment, this is the way forward, or proposed way forward in terms of mitigating, continuing to monitor, but also progress to the point that I would suggest in the next budget round we have clarity on what are those needed actions moving forward, which I anticipate would be over years.
Councillor Calvano.
Yes, thank you, Mr Mayor. I just want to know for our community, is the dam wall of Hamilton Lake still safe for our community? That's all.
Through you, Mr Mayor. Councillor Calvano, we certainly know we need to do further work. As I said, we have strategies or actions in place in the immediate where we need to alter that water level and manage it through the downstream, but we certainly know we need to do further work.
Thank you.
Councillor Henry.
So we know that we've got 2 stages of stage 1, through an A and a B, $75,000 that we need to spend now to understand the risk and to do some intermediary mitigation works. I see that the second and third stages are significantly higher, not as high as I thought they would be, 281,000, and then stage 2, 930,000. What sort of funding avenues are there available, and how will we know when, actually, scrap that. What funding avenues are available to us?
Sure. Through you, Mr. Mayor. Currently, the only funding that is available that this would potentially fit the criteria is through the federal government, and it's disaster resilience. That is a very competitive program, and certainly when you compare, I'll say, Hamilton or even our Shire and our history of disasters in compared to others, we are certainly at the lower end of the priority list. Having said that, we would certainly apply applications to that fund regardless where we deem it meeting the criteria. I might just preempt your second part of the question, and that is that the actions that we've put forward for this report, so stage 1 or phase 1 if you like, really informs what those remaining phases are. And so that will then determine what is that multi-year program that I referenced before. But each phase then informs us. It may differ to what's pitched through this.
Yeah, Councillor Henry.
So the subsidiary question, I guess, is that we can't really know what the cost will be until we've spent the first amount of money.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Correct, Councillor Henry.
Yeah.
And Councillor Henry.
Do we know, and I couldn't quite see from the reports, what works have been done on the wall, if any, in the last, say, decade?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, so we have done some works. It's really more ensuring that the spillway can function as best as it can. But that's really at the surface, as in it's been the areas that have been easily accessible, etc.
So not major structure?
No major structure works and no intrusive works. So this really starts to lead into potentially more intrusive works if that's what's deemed necessary.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Councillor Barber, you wish to speak to the motion?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just briefly, as I said, I'd more than happily endorse $75,000 for further investigation for stage 1. It's such a well utilised lake, for everyone around, not just in Hamilton. The rowing regattas that come to town, it's utilised for park run. It's utilised for recreational fishing, skiing, swimming. So I think it's a really important piece of infrastructure for our Shire to make sure that it's safe and secure for future generations.
Any discussion for Councillor Rainsford?
Yeah, look, this we have been working on this, and it hasn't been ignored. There's been multiple applications to state and federal funding, and Director Scanlon's quite right that it seems to be just in the area of disaster relief and flood recovery and things like that that you get the money. And we're going to find that there might be some serious money needed for this, and it is an incredibly important asset. And I'm just wondering how much wriggle room we've got in our 10-year financial plan to manage this if we do find that there's major works that needs to be done. Thank you.
Any discussion against? Further for? Councillor Barber, anything to close?
No, thank you.
Go to a vote. Those in favour? Carried. Item 12.6, cost shifting report.
Thank you, Mr.
Director
Mayor.
Barber.
Councillors, on May 14, 2025, a notice of motion from Councillor Campbell requested that Southern Grampians Shire prepare a report at a future council meeting that details state government cost shifting, reductions in funding for levels of service and additional taxes and levies imposed on or collected by local government over a 10-year period that includes, but is not exclusive of, emergency response and relief funding, in particular the 2022 flood event and the 24-25 Grampians fires. Other items including state road repairs and upgrades, school costing supervisor program, land levy, fire services levy, immunisation, aged infrastructure. Current funding focuses only on new, libraries, waste levy, local government elections, management of waste from campgrounds, and in particular Rocklands Reservoir and Grampians National Park. The report contains a summary of the impact of items identified by council staff, along with addressing the specific items from the May council meeting. Relevant information for the specific services provided where available and known to add context to the cost shifting from state government entities to council for that particular service. Council, the recommendation is before you for your consideration.
The mover, Councillor Campbell.
The council received this report as response to the notice of motion from myself at the 14th of May 2025 council meeting. Number 2, write to Minister for Local Government summarising information contained within this report. Number 3, jointly advocate with other rural councils to the Minister for Local Government and the Municipals Association of Victoria for appropriate funding for services where cost shifting is identified. And number 4, provide the community with the information of services where cost shifting exists from state government to council.
Seconder, Councillor Calvano. Questions for Director Barber? Councillor Campbell, you wish to speak to the motion?
Yes. And number 4, actually I'll come back to that. I want to appreciate, I appreciate the effort from the council directors to provide this information. This clearly does show the pressure on council that has grown over many years. I mean, it is quite a long report, but some examples are we get money from the state government to mow state government roads. That costs us over $57,000 a year. State government provides us with 12 grand. There's school crossings that we usually have had support from state government. That has obviously dropped off, and the cost to council has significantly increased over 24%. That's gone up to about over $22,000 a year. We all know about the fire service levy. There's mental health services within the Shire that state government doesn't provide anymore, but we have to sort of pick up the tab. If we don't, we're in a rock and a hard place. Our constituents probably wouldn't be happy about that if we pulled out of everything like that. Immunisation, that's another cost that is being pushed onto the council. We are pushing back on it, but as it stands, we may have to fit that bill as well. Libraries used to be 50-50. We're now having to pick up the tab for around 80%, so it's 80-20. So yeah, we could go on, but the main thing, this document provides insights, and as I'll come back to number 4, it provides the community with the information of the services where the cost shifting exists from state government, and it makes things hard on local council. Thank you.
Any discussion for Councillor Calvano?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, I'd like to congratulate Adam Campbell for putting forward this advocating to the government on the issue of cost shifting. Congratulations, Adam. Now, with the use of cost shifting, it has become a burden to all ratepayers and councils because of inadequate funding, Mr. Mayor. People think that's the council, but it's not. It's the government's. That's why we need a review and council listen to on the needs of the Shire, what they need for their Shire, such as school crossings, etc., like was pointed out by Councillor Adam Campbell. Cost shift is unfair to our community because at the end of the day, it's the ratepayers who pays, and with a diminishing services. That's all I've got to say. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Any discussion against? Further for Councillor Henry.
Thank you. I just wanted to advocate to my colleagues in regard to this document and that it needs to go far and wide. And I'd also like to suggest that with a state election coming up next year, our community should or could, it'd be really helpful if they did, take particular note of this document and go after their local members and anyone who is standing and ask them what they intend to do about this. We had a local member say to us that councils just should say no. And I ask you, where would that leave our community? We are not in a position where we're prepared to risk our community and just push back against the state government and not provide things like immunisation and aged care, provide for aged infrastructure and libraries and waste at campgrounds and tourist signage and CCT footage that makes our communities much safer. I just don't think that's a valid option for local governments in small rural communities. So please read this document. If you read nothing else from this meeting, please read this document and consider who you will speak to about it, because it's really important.
Councillor Manning.
Speaking for. I agree with the other councillors, and I've not too much to add, but just that there are lots of things in life that are disappointing, and this list is one of them. And I totally agree. You look at the list and you wouldn't cut those services. You can't just stand up and say no to these services. But what we can do is advocate and get a bit shouty. We do have an election coming up. There's opportunities there for people to stand up and fix some of these things. I wanted to point out one thing just as an example of how this cost shifting prevents us from doing things that we would rather do, and that's the tourism signs. We're forced to pay $91,000 on new signs when we'd rather fix our town entry signs that are cracked and still say Greater Hamilton, but instead we've got to do other things that are forced on us. And you know, I think we'd rather be doing a lot more things than paying up for this shortfall. So, yeah, I support advocating through this report.
Any further discussion? Councillor Campbell to close. Go straight to a vote. Those in favour? Carried. Item 12.7, Audit and Risk Committee meeting minutes, 23rd September 2025. Director Barber.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Councillors, the minutes from the 23rd September 2025 meeting, as endorsed by the Audit and Risk Committee, are presented to Council for adoption. Under Section 53 of the Local Government Act 2020, the Council must establish an Audit and Risk Committee as an advisory committee of Council. This committee fulfils both a statutory and consultative function. It provides feedback, advice and direction to Council on both risk and financial matters in accordance with the committee charter. Councillors, the key items that were discussed at the September meeting was the CEO report update, the Audit and Risk Committee self-assessment, the annual finance reporting for 2024-25 and draft financial and performance statements, closing report and final management letter, building valuations, quarterly councillor expenditure report, progress reports on internal audit actions, internal audit status report, final report for our contract management audit, compliance framework review and quarterly compliance reporting, OH&S risk management quarterly reports and a cyber security update. Council, the recommendation is before you for your consideration.
Have a mover. Councillor Barber.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I recommend that the Council note the minutes of the Audit and Risk Committee meeting held on the 23rd September 2025.
Seconder, Councillor Campbell. Any questions of Director Barber? Councillor Barber, you wish to speak to the motion?
No.
Any discussion for, against? Nothing to close. Councillor Barber. We'll go to a vote. Those in favour? Carried. Item 12.8, Planning Committee meeting, 20 October 2025. Director Neeson.
Thank you, and through you, Mr Mayor, I'd like to present this report on the Planning Committee minutes. So this report is fairly procedural in nature and relates to a decision made on 20 October to demolish a building in the Heritage Overlay and construct a building, also within the Heritage Overlay, at 37 Caston Road, Coleraine, which is currently occupied by the Coleraine Showgrounds. The committee resolved to refuse to grant a permit, and the reasons for that refusal are outlined in the minutes. Thank you.
Have a mover. Councillor Manning.
Yes, I move the Council receive the minutes of the Planning Committee meeting held 20 October 2020.
Seconder, Councillor Henry. Questions of Director Neeson? Councillor Manning, you wish to speak to the motion?
I do. As Chair of the Planning Committee, this application was referred for the consideration of the Planning Committee because of the officer's recommendation was to refuse the application. Just as way of background, the role of the planning committee is to provide an open forum where planning applications can be considered and applicants and objectors have the opportunity to be heard. As Director Neeson has said, this application was seeking to demolish a building under the heritage overlay and construct a new shed in its place. From the information presented at the meeting, the committee deemed the grounds for refusal were as follows, as outlined in the minutes attached. The committee felt there is opportunity for conservation benefit at the site. The application did not adequately demonstrate why a new building needs to be located where it is. There had not been a costing of repairs to the building that were presented to provide evidence of financial impact to maintain the building. But I do note, as it says in the minutes, that the Heritage Advisor feels there is scope to resolve with the applicant, and the officers will work with the applicant and have further discussions with members of the Coleraine P&A Society to support them with an updated proposal. Thank you.
Discussion 4. Against? Councillor Manning, anything to close?
Nothing to close.
Go to a vote. Those in favour? Carried. Item 13, notices of motion. Item 13.1, notice of motion number 12 of 25, Cox Street. Councillor Calvano.
The motion that the Southern Grampians Shire Council, 1, note the advocacy undertaken by Council to date seeking the renewal of the northbound lane of Cox Street, Hamilton. Point 2, write to the Honourable Minister Horn, MP, Minister for Roads and Road Safety, specially requesting that urgent road reconstruction works be undertaken to the northbound lane, in brackets, Mitre 10, side from French Street to Lonzo Street, those are brackets, of Cox Street, Hamilton. 3, copy local Member of Parliament, Emma Kelly MP, Jacinta Emma Cora MP, Bev McCarther MP, Galtini MP, Sarah Mansfield MP and Joe McCracken MP regarding sealing the entrance to a regional centre. 4, continue to advocate directly with the Department of Transport and Planning requested the urgent response to the priority maintenance and reconstruction works on Cox Street. Thank you.
Councillor Calvano, you wish to speak to your motion?
Yeah.
Is it a seconder?
Speak then.
Speak. Well, it's a special thank you to the officers continue to advocate for the Department of Transport regarding the sealing north side of Cox Street. Thank you. As it stands, the unsealed section of Cox Street presents a poor image for both locals and visitors entering our township. It is unfortunate that this area, particularly the stretch of Mitre 10 side between French Street and Lonzo Street, remains unsealed. This section connects directly to the Glenelg Highway, the main route to South Australia and other townships, and therefore serves a key entry point to our regional centre, Hamilton. Leaving Cox Street in its current condition gives the impression that the project is only half completed. It appears untidy and unkept, which reflects poorly on our community. While responsibility may rest with the Department of Transport of Vic Roads, the local community ultimately attributes the condition of this road to council and councils. If the Department of Transport does not commit to sealing this section by next budget, then alternative means of completing the work should be explored. In my opinion, my own personal opinion, Cox Street should be sealed to the highest possible standard to reflect the pride we have in our town, Hamilton. It's an entry. This is a very important issue to our community, and thank you, Mr. Mayor, for letting me have a go. Thank you.
Do we have a seconder? Councillor Barber. Any questions of Councillor Calvano? Discussion 4.
Can we ask questions of the directors in relation to the...
Yeah.
Yeah? So, well,
Yeah.
I've got a question, might be for Director Scanlon. We have advocated and we've been denied. What other avenues are there left? Is this a continuation of what we've been doing for the past however many years?
Through you, Mr Mayor. Councillor Manning, I think it's continuing what we're doing and then some. So certainly we work at an officer level in meeting with the Department of Transport and Planning on not only their works but also what's happening within our shire and what we're seeking. I see that also as an avenue for us to work closer with them, hopefully, to try and understand what is in their forward budgets and what are their priorities, to see if we can create any opportunity for that to be raised on their list of priorities.
Mr Mayor, may I?
I'll come back to you, Councillor Calvano. Councillor Rainsford,
Yeah,
question?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Quick one. Is there any idea of the cost of doing that side, the western side or the southbound or northbound? Northbound. But because a lot of the groundwork could have been done, is there electrical and plumbing, what other underground work needs to be done on that side, or is it purely bitumen treatment?
Through you, Mr Mayor. Councillor Rainsford, I understand the department would not entertain doing a rehabilitation. They would anticipate doing a full reconstruction. Certainly we've done some costings when we were looking at what that might look like, even for advocacy, and without having absolute clarity in terms of scope, in terms of what DTP would look at versus what we might look at, you're looking upward of 300,000 plus, depending on what that scope is.
So it's not over $1 million, so it's 300,000.
Correct. Plus, depending on what the actual
This
scope
is Cox Street.
Yep, absolutely.
Just give me, Councillor Calvano, question?
It's not just a comment, Mr Mayor.
I'll just stay in questions at the moment. I'll come back for speaking
Okay.
for. Thanks.
I've just got one.
Councillor Manning?
Yeah. Director Scanlon, this northbound lane of Cox Street, is the condition below the arterial road standards required for high traffic volumes, including heavy vehicles? Or is it just, I totally agree, it could be made to look better, but is it, yeah, that's my question.
Yeah. Through you, Mr Mayor, we certainly haven't gone to that level of degree in terms of understanding its true condition. Certainly it would beg the question in terms of how it is on the rating, but certainly the aesthetics are significant. We know that there are particular points, and you would be aware of the intersection of French and Cox. Right at that intersection, there are some rectification works being done there, but there's certainly some issues with that road.
Any final questions of Director Scanlon in relation to the motion? Speaking for, Councillor Calvano.
Yes, of course I'm going to speak for it. Mr Mayor. Mr Mayor, I'm thanking, first of all, the office for advocating to the Department of Transport to seal Cox Street. But this motion's about to write to the copy members of Parliament, Emma Keeley, MP. That's what it's about. Jacinda Macquarie, MP. Bev McArthur, MP. This is what it's about, to write to them, let them know that the entry to our township needs attention. That's what it's about. It's not about the priorities of, this is about Cox Street. We've spent $5 million on it, plus more. Let's finish it. Let's finish the job. And this motion's about writing to the members of Parliament, the shadow members. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Any discussion against? Further for? Councillor Barber.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Just briefly, I'd just like to congratulate Councillor Calvano for
Thank you, Aston.
putting this motion up and bringing it back to the attention of the members of Parliament. I completely agree in the whole scope of things when you break down the figures. If we spent $5 million on Cox Street and we're talking about a $300,000 repavement to make it look finished, it's sort of a no-brainer. It's just a case of bringing our attention back to the top of the pile. So, well done, Councillor Calvano.
Thank you, Mr. Councillor Aston.
No further. We'll go to a vote. Those in favour? Carried. Item 13.2, notice of motion number 13 of 25, Thompson Street. Councillor Rainsford.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I hereby give notice, attention, that Southern Grampians Shire Council provides a report on the plans and timeline of maintenance of Thompson Street between French and Lonsdale Streets, which is a major Hamilton CBD street requiring maintenance. The reason why I bring it up is that a lot of people have been concerned that this is a major access and it's part of our responsibilities. We can't shoulder it off anywhere else. We might get some help through funding packages, but it is our responsibility. And it's a dreadful surface. It's patchy. We are used to dodging these sorts of surfaces out on the highways, but in our CBDs, I just don't go to many CBDs that have streets that look like they're peeling. And my husband had a description of what it looked like, which was very agricultural. Looked like the inside of a cow's uterus. So as rough as that. Yes. Little caruncles. I am a vet and we've done a couple of prolapses together. But it's very rough, yes. Anyway, but Brian's a gentleman, but I thought it was a really good comment. That's it for 2 minutes. I think it needs to be tidied up and it's our responsibility, but I'm asking for a report, please.
You had a minute of buffer. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Barber. Any questions
Thanks.
of Councillor Rainsford? Councillor Campbell.
No,
Yep.
Director, Councillor.
Yeah, I'll just see if there's any questions of Councillor Rainsford to begin. Councillor Calvano.
Councillor Rainsford, isn't this in our CBD scope? We're going to do it up, aren't we? Isn't it? We removed the tree already. So isn't this in the CBD?
Yeah, Councillor
Yeah,
Rainsford.
thank you very much. Look, we passed a master plan in 2020 about tidying up our CBD, and we're probably going to have quite a lot of works that's part of and I mentioned the advisory committee that's working on projects, but if there's some things that could be done quickly, quick wins to make our CBD look better, and it's been looking that way for quite a long time. So I'm asking for a report. So, and I think councillors have actually got some more information, but it'd be good to have a report from the community that we know how much it's going to cost and when we're thinking of doing it. And yes, it has got some advisory group involvement.
Councillor Henry, question of Councillor Rainsford.
No, but it's a question for the director.
Any further questions to Councillor Rainsford?
I do actually.
Councillor Campbell.
So, no, I just wanted to double check here. So the Shire provides a report on the plans and timeline of maintenance. So that's a report that comes out and goes, right, we blow the leaves off the walkways this times of week and we do this on that. Is that what you're looking for?
No, it's the bitumen, it's the rough surface. It is patchy all the way up.
So maintenance on
Yeah.
what the timeline and what the maintenance is on that. That's what you're looking for.
Yeah, and apparently it's at a grade that you don't have to do work if it was somewhere else, but because it's in the CBD, we expect it to be reasonably smooth and attractive. So it's about the road surface, it's not about beautification.
Okay.
Yep.
Any further questions of Councillor Rainsford? Councillor Henry, question to a director.
The question I wanted to ask is, are there others that should be responsible for the condition of that road surface now? Because my understanding is there's been gas leaks, there's been NBN digs, yes, the Shire has removed a tree. However, a portion of the disturbance, my understanding is that it has come from external forces.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Councillors, if it might help, I'll make the comment that I think these are all really good questions, something that can be addressed through regular councillor communications and even a communication to the community, because we're talking about something that's really quite operational. I just pick up on Councillor Henry's comments. Certainly we've seen over recent years a lot of other agencies and authorities doing various works. And that certainly contributes to how the road appears. I'll also take the opportunity to remind councillors that we still continue to do our required immediate maintenance. So yes, the future road reserve and the presentation of that will be picked up in the streetscape, but that doesn't mean we're not undertaking the imperative maintenance that we need to do as part of our routine works.
Councillor Campbell.
Yeah, did we not have a plan in terms of what we were going to do with that road, in terms of we weren't going to tar seal it hardcore, we were going to use a different product on it until the street landscape progressed. Is that correct or not? Did we not have a plan for that? I thought we went through it.
Through you, Mr Mayor, no, we don't. Not in the interim.
I thought there was an interim idea.
Yeah.
It was, sorry, if I could just explain, as a part of the current financial year, so in the initial program, it was identified as a surface treatment. You might be referring to that,
Maybe.
but it wasn't supported through the budget process because of the streetscape work. That might be what you're referring to.
Okay.
Councillor Manning?
Yeah, I think it might be a question for Director Neeson regarding the streetscape revitalisation. So this section of road, can you confirm this is in the phase 2, I think, and any idea which year that may be completed in? Phase 2 of the streetscape?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Yes, firstly, yes, it is in the second stage of work. So the first stage being that centre part of Grey Street. In all the work we've done, the second stage is, we'll say, that end of Thompson Street and the other end of Grey Street. In terms of timeframes, I probably can't give you that here because there's a whole lot of things around funding, etc., that still need to be lined up. We're obviously very focused on that first section and then the other sections to come, but I don't want to sit here and say it will be done at this date and that change on you because of a variety of reasons.
Councillor Henry?
No, that was my question.
Good. Councillor Calvano?
So, Mr Mayor, a report's going to come out to say to seal it or unseal it or tidy it up, exactly right. So the question is, I'm asking is that round about to seal it and make it from French Street to actually Lonsdale Street, to just seal it, approximately how much would it be into the report? Approximately, I'm not, what, 100,000, 200,000?
I did have that figure. I just don't have it in front of me.
Around about.
Yeah. Through you, Mr Mayor. Sorry, Councillor Calvano. I do have that figure, I just don't have it in front of me right here and now, but I'm happy to provide that to councillors.
And the other question I ask, officer, is that if we did seal it and then the streetscape comes forward, do we have to actually excavate what we've done, the works we've done, and do it again?
Yes. Through you, Mr Mayor. Yes, we would.
Oh, waste of money. Yeah, thank you.
Any further questions of the Director? Discussion 4. Councillor Barber?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. As you would all know, I'm the chairman of the CBD Advisory Group, and I understand what Councillor Calvano said. But backing up on what Director Neeson said, I also understand how long funding can take and how long plans can take and how long the next stage 2 can take. And the report with providing us how much it would cost would just be good information basically, because it is pretty ordinary road when you come off that roundabout and you go straight up where a lot of our food establishments are now. There's a lot of tourists stop there. The roads, we've got to admit, pretty ordinary. I'm not a big one for Band-Aid solutions, and I understand it'll impact, and part of it will have to be obviously dug up and redesigned when stage 2 comes up. But probably what I'm looking for, in my personal opinion, is a Band-Aid solution just to make it, the surface, just a bit bloody better than it is. Like, I don't know, I'm no road expert, but you know, is it a resheet or is it just something that Shire can do that's not going to cost us the earth, but it's just going to make it not look like a third world road that horse and cars go up. That's all. That's what I'm saying. I think 100% agree. It needs to be fixed. 100% agree with Director Neeson. It's in stage 2. 100% agree with Councillor Henry. We're then going to have to obviously remove part of it to do stage 2. But stage 2, let's look at it, could be 2030. And imagine what that road's going to look like in 5 years.
Yeah.
Any discussion against? Further for? Councillor Rainsford, anything to close?
Just in closing, I just want to reiterate, because I couldn't have put it better, it's probably...
Sorry, Councillor Rainsford.
No, it's got that price of
Sorry, Director Scanlon has got that information to answer Councillor Calvano's question.
Sorry, Councillor Rainsford, I didn't have it on my fingers, but I've been able to locate it. The cost estimate for asphalt overlay to improve the surface aesthetics and renew the wearing course is $170,000 for each section. So I might just talk through that. So effectively, we're talking 2 sections. So from French to Grey, Grey to Lonsdale. So then, in terms of in the entire, 340,000, and this does not include any treatments to the roundabout. So it is just talking about the road wearing surface.
Thank you.
Look,
Sorry.
in closure, I would just say that you could actually look at these 2 sections that are similar length, aren't they? Cox Street and Thompson Street. And so we've got a similar sort of costing. So we're going to have an idea. We've sort of discussed about, got some of the reporting already, but thank you for putting it the way you did. We get support. Thank you.
Can I have a question, Mr. Mayor? Was raising that. Can I have a question?
Yeah, I'll allow Councillor Calvano. Is it to a director?
It's actually about...
Sorry, Councillor Calvano, is it directed to a director or?
Oh, I don't know who's going to answer it. I don't know. Is it to... I don't know who's going to answer it. Either Councillor Rainsford or
Just
director.
ask the question. Yeah. Yeah, we've closed the discussion, Councillor
Okay.
Calvanos. We'll go to a vote. Those in favour? Carried. Item 14, there's no urgent business. Item 15, Mayor, Councillors and Delegate reports. Councillor Rainsford.
I'll be very quick. I have got a written report I'll submit, but I enjoyed the Coleraine show and took it on the chin with the disappointment with our planning decision for, but it was really good to see the venue again, and that'll be my report. And then the Cavendish Fleece and Flower Show, which was on Friday night, was absolutely excellent, as it usually is. I went along to a meet and greet with the community about considering new toilets, so I just congratulate the staff on the work that they've done in these different public toilets areas. We're starting to do our community engagement really well, so thank you very much to the officers, the team that went out there with the engineers. And Remembrance Day out at Coleraine, and thank you to the community for their hospitality. I mainly want to say thank you to the members of the Hamilton Regional Livestock Exchange. We'll give them a formal thank you for their work that they've done. We've disbanded that committee, and John Wilde, John Hope and David Bird, and the work of the officers, Margaret Director Scanlon, Trevor Hurley and previous officers for the great work that they've done, and Councillor Campbell was involved in that, and we look forward to continuing onward and upward with that project. Thank you.
Councillor Barber.
Mr. Mayor, I don't have a lot to report. As I sort of had a bit of a turbulent month, but I did say we did have the CBD Streetscape meeting and a presentation by Steve Myers, who's Managing Director of Big AA Studios in Waterfall. Should have said Mont, shouldn't I? Which is fantastic, and the CBD Advisory Group's really moving forward in a very positive way. It's really great to hear. Attended the Remembrance Day service yesterday with Mayor Heslin and Councillor Campbell and Councillor Calvano. It was it was a great service. It was reasonably well attended. It's always a little bit different to Anzac Day, obviously not been a public holiday or anything like that. There was still quite a few people there, and I think it was the Bainbridge College students who'd done a fantastic job of putting all the poppies out, so that was really good. And I'd also just like to throw one in. I'd just like to thank, as I've done 1 year now as a new council, I'd just like to thank the help from all the directors and the CEO from, when we're trying to deal with all these things. We come in sort of a bit like deer in headlights, and every time I've needed assistance or every time I've needed further information, it's always been provided without hesitation. I'd just like to thank you all for your assistance on that. Thank you.
Councillor Henry.
Thank you, I'll be very brief too. Live for Life, a great event that seeks to inform young people on how to help each other and themselves regarding mental health. Congratulations to all the Year 12 and Year 11 students doing BC exams. They're just about finished. The Mayor, the CEO and I met with Jacinta Amakora MP and discussed our art gallery with her recently, and today congratulations to Bainbridge College on opening their vegetable gardens. They were the winners of a really great presentation in the Sustainability Awards. So congratulations to them, and congratulations to Cavendish Viaduct and Coleraine on shows and all the lovely spring activities.
Councillor Campbell.
Yes, again, I wanted to congratulate the Viaduct Flower Show. I wasn't able to attend because I was doing science that weekend, but I had a lot of friends that attended it and said it was amazing. All involved, the community gets are really around it, and the volunteers, so that was great. Monday night I went to the Branksome Progress Association AGM, had to chair that. David Togger was the president. That's all positive. We're getting our shed up, we're hopefully getting our barbecue, so there's a few things moving positively there. It was an honour to be at Remembrance Day yesterday. It was a shame about the weather. But yeah, it was good there to pay our respects. And then also went to the circus that came to town. And I took the family there. I thought it was pretty cool. Even met the owner, Dominic. He was pretty crazy. He was an owner-operator. He was there swinging around. He was one of the guys that was in the ball with the 3 motorbikes. And he wanted to actually say, thank you to the council, because he's worked with a lot of other councils that are a bit more difficult. But I thought that was a good thing that came to town. And he's got my number. He actually rang me the other day and asked me to come to Horsham when I was busy, but
Thought which is a clear.
You're going to stand in the middle of the dome next time? You're a big target.
Councillor Calvano.
I'll be really brief, Mr Mayor. I've submitted mine.
Terrific. Councillor Manning.
I'll also be brief. We had a planning committee meeting on the 20th of October. I attended the Coleraine show, which was great. Today at Bainbridge College to see the successful project from the sustainability competition. Done a fabulous job with the garden there, so well done to everyone involved. And I'll just say all the best for the organisers of the Dunkeld races this weekend. Hopefully it's a beautiful day. They always put on a great community event and are great supporters of community organisations. So all the best for that.
And it's one of the best racetracks in Australia.
Most scenic.
Well, possibly the second best with Penshurst the following week. I'd just like to say, don't trust clowns. I've submitted a report. Well done to the Hamilton RSL for everything they did for Remembrance Day, if I can remember how to say it. And I declare the meeting closed at 7:07.